Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Welcome to the Saturday Morning Fragcast, coming to you live this Saturday afternoon.
It's a real Saturday.
It's a real Saturday, even though if it is not the morning. Coming to you from Victor von Fragenstein's basement here. I am your co-host, Victor von Fragenstein.
And I'm Gapper.
And today we are going to be talking a little bit about deep space. What's interesting about it in video game land, what is not.
And what's a total fabrication.
Exactly.
Or someone's pipe dream.
Someone's pipe dream. A little bit about the state of esports and mobile gaming.
Yeah, esports in 2016, as I found out last night.
And then we're going to get into the meat of the podcast today, which is going to be VR, since Gapper has jumped in.
Yeah, got the HTC Vive, and it's great.
He has, since the last podcast, joined us as part of the PC Master Race, and not only that, built a nicer rig than my own, and set himself up with the Vive. So
it's a great setup. Thank you for your assistance in helping me build it and pick it out.
No problem. It's a lot easier to build them nowadays than it was about 10 years ago, for sure.
I don't even think I'd ever would buy one pre-made now, because it's pretty straightforward once you do it for the first time.
Yep. It's just a matter of making sure it works. But anyway, starting a little bit about deep space. So all the rage seems to be raging out at one particular game, which is, of course, No Man's Sky.
Yes, infamous No Man's Sky.
Infamous No Man's Sky.
Development for 3 years. I originally, when I saw, I was like, okay, cool, PlayStation exclusive. Wasn't going to be, I don't know, I might have got it on my PlayStation, but I don't play my PlayStation too much. Then I kind of didn't really pay attention to it because I was just not on the PS train at the time. And then the week before it came out, I was like, it's on PC. Maybe I'll get it on Steam and check the game out. And I no longer have the game anymore. It was the first time I've ever refunded anything.
Welcome to the joyous world of Steam, where you can do that.
That's the great thing about Steam, where on Xbox I have to live with my mistakes most of the time. But with the glory that is Gaben blessed me with the refund, and I was able to get my money back. But I got No Man's Sky. I didn't play it for very long because I was just kind of mad. I don't know if I was playing it really late at night. Might have been in a bad state of mind, but it just, from what I played, and then I did watch some stuff on Twitch earlier in the week before I got home able to play it, and I wasn't too impressed with it. It was very grindy, way too much gather materials. In my first experience, so I get everything, I repair my ship, and then it's like, oh, you gotta go get this iridium deposit or some shit, and I have to walk like 13 minutes to go get to it. So I'm like, alright, so there's like nothing on my way there interesting. I walked there, and then I got the deposit, and then I have to walk another 13 minutes back to my ship, and I was just like, fuck it. Like, this is stupid. I was like, I need to get my ship's ready. I'm only getting the fuel for like my hyperdrive, but for some reason I couldn't fly over there with my ship. Like, it wouldn't work at all.
You couldn't even hop in the ship and just cruise over?
No, I couldn't even hop in my ship and cruise over. It wouldn't let me take off or do anything until I completed this tutorial. But it was going to be like a 30-minute walk back and forth to be able to go and get the fuel for it. I was like, this is stupid. For
sure. It seems to me like it's FedEx Quest the game. Go somewhere, pick something up, and bring it back. I won't get into too many details about the game. I did not jump into it. I've only watched on Twitch, YouTube, etc. But from what I've seen, the game, the big problem was, and I think this is the big thing, we're both guilty of riding the hype train. We love to do it around E3. But sometimes you got to sit back and you got to say, listen, there's no way, especially with a small dev team like this.
I found out afterwards that there's 5 guys on the Hello Games team. Yeah. It's like, those 5 guys are going to pull off what the guy's spewing out. Like, no. Yeah. And the same thing, you know what, if this has been a game that was $20 and it was just marketed as here's a whole bunch of random crap for you to explore, I don't think the disappointment would have been so big. But it was hyped as a AAA quality, and I will admit it was not a terrible looking game. No,
for a small team,
a decent art style.
Yeah, but for $60, $70, for those of you who don't know, up here in Canuck land, games usually run us $69.99 or $79.99 for a new game.
But it was $66 Canadian on Steam, though. Yeah. Which was a good change of pace, but still, I don't think the value was there for it. No. The thing that I had an annoyance with was just, you had to mine too much to get a little bit done. And the inventory space was so small off the bat. And like, yeah, it's going to get bigger, but there's going to be more resources you're going to want. And I heard that complain a bunch, but
the big thing that struck me,
I just didn't enjoy it. I didn't have fun with it right off the bat. It didn't do anything cool off the bat to get me hooked and want to do more of it. It was just like, oh hey, your life system's depleting. Do this, do that. It's like constant having to replenish some meter with another thing. Like, it was just
I agree.
Stupid.
And from what I saw, I was very disappointed with how little you could do for how much gathering you had to do. There's nothing wrong with resource gathering.
No.
Minecraft proved you can make a game out of that and not even put much game in it. It'll be a lot of fun. But that's because Minecraft gave players this world, gather resources, even if they're just
make
cubes,
your own story,
and do what you want. And it feels to me as if No Man's Sky got the first chunk of that. That here's a bunch of stuff to collect, and then just said, you know what, you can't really do anything. Now, I feel there may be some potential for this game if they add a building crafting component later on, where maybe you can build more variety of weapons, of different types of ships, actually add those spaceship battles. And I think the big thing was there's a lot of that promised stuff
and
was
maybe
not there.
add multiplayer.
Yeah, like if anyone hasn't seen, several times actual multiplayer was promised. They said it's unlikely you'll ever meet another player because it's so big. But if you do, you
from
can.
Reddit did it. They went to the same spot. They're at the exact same coordinates.
Yeah.
And they couldn't see each other.
Couldn't see each other. So there's no multiplayer. Those big space battles from the trailers that we saw at E3 aren't really there.
Not there. Well, I saw my friend Andy. He sent me a post. I think it was on Reddit, or it might have even been on like the Sony forums or something. I forget where it's from. But it was from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was after one of the E3 videos, and the guy's like, I don't think any of that's real. They handcrafted that entire thing. You're never going to see any of that stuff. That guy absolutely called it. And it was funny in the comments below his.
Yep.
Everyone's just like, oh, conspiracy theorist, and just like chirping this guy. That guy was a prophet. That guy was so right.
Exactly.
On many levels of the comments that he made.
That's it. And it sucks to predict doom about a game, but when something's hyped up so much, it's sometimes important to have people that keep us grounded.
Well,
and
it's
I think
like
that was
Fable.
The case.
Remember Fable back in the day?
Oh, I remember Fable back in the day.
You can put an acorn in, and it's going to grow
There'll
a tree.
Be a tree.
Your kid will be able to see when he grows up.
Yeah, what's that guy's name? Molyneux?
Peter Molyneux.
Yeah, he's kind of infamous for that. Though I will say, at least Fable turned out to be an okay action RPG.
Yeah, Fable was still a good game.
It was not the game promised at all.
Not everything that he said was in the game, but at least I played all three of them.
Yeah, and at least there was a decent game there.
Yeah,
there was a system. If it had he hyped it up, but admittedly, there's been 3 games. They've all sold pretty well. In fact, just last year they had a re-release of the first one, I believe. The Lost Chapters. They did an updated re-release.
Oh?
I didn't purchase it because it was like a full price.
Well, then they did cancel Fable Legends, but that game did look stupid anyways.
It did look pretty stupid anyways. But anyway, moving aside from that, we then so the moral of this story is don't get too caught up in the hype. So Gapper here did indeed move on to another much hyped and touted space game.
So after that, I was like, what am I gonna spend my No Man's Sky money on? And I ended up looking into it, and I purchased yesterday Star Citizen. I got the Squadron 42 and the Mustang bundle. So I guess I get the single player, and then I get a ship for the Persistent Universe.
Yep.
And I will be able to... All I did was really fly around in my Mustang and shoot at asteroids and stuff, and then I went and played Battlefield 1 with the boys.
There you go. So from what I understand, there's been a lot of drama surrounding Star Citizen Online. I haven't followed a lot of it because, to be frank and honest, I don't like to get caught up in pointless drama.
I don't know any of it.
Here's another game which has promised the world, and in fact the universe, and has at least delivered something.
From the little bit that I watched while I was researching it, the game is gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
The ships, the interior, the exterior, they look great.
Yep.
The combat looks good. I haven't participated in it. The being able to have like team ships where you can have multiple people in the ship and battling and doing stuff in the ship. There's like a little social aspect where you can kind of walk around on the space stations and in the cities. The space marine combat looks pretty fun. Like, I would love to be able to have 2 capital ships in the future. Just come in, your boarding party, taking out their crew and capture their ship. I think that would be.
I think it'd be very
cool,
interesting.
And I think they maybe are promising that. I don't know, but they. I think they are capable of doing the things that they're saying, maybe, but I don't know everything they've said so far.
Well, they've said a lot, and a lot of it has fallen flat, and they have actually announced some cut features. However, that being said, there's a lot of people, most infamously Derek Smart Online, who's been predicting doom about this. I think it's going to be a case of very much as we just talked about, like Fable. I think the game, when finished, will deliver something. I don't think it's going to deliver some of the grandiose things they talked about, but as long as in the end it delivers. Now, again, I feel sorry for the people who've already dumped $10,000 of backer money into it, but I feel as long as the game delivers a solid playable product in the end, I think that's worth the money. If it keeps me entertained for a few hours, that's what I'm happy with. No Man's Sky is interesting for about 20 minutes, if that. So if this game even just gives us a nice little space combat game, fly around, shoot up some other ships, even if there aren't so many planets in a persistent universe, I'm okay with that.
So on Xbox, I bought the Elite Dangerous when it was in the preview program.
Yeah.
And there was about 3 or 4 of us that played that together. We'd go out and do bounty hunting. I was just grinding, trading slaves. And then I would buy nutrient enrichment systems and trade that back. And I did that over and over and over until I got millions of dollars to buy the next ship. And then I'd just go and build a sweet bounty hunting ship to go do some combat. And that game was a lot of fun.
There's a space game that really did deliver on its promises.
It delivered on it, and they've added... I haven't played the Horizons patch. We were talking about buying it a couple weeks ago because you can actually get in team ships together, land on planets, and kind of go around on some rovers and that.
I have not played it yet either, but I am looking forward to giving that a try.
It looks pretty sweet, but like if they can even just make Star Citizen slightly better or almost even the same as Elite Dangerous, it would be a great game.
I agree.
Because I think they're like Elite Dangerous is great, and if Star Citizen can even deliver close to that or even surpass them, I think Star Citizen will be a good game.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. I don't think it's going to be the be-all, end-all MMORPG of space. I think, honestly, EVE Online's probably still got that cornered because, although the game, in my opinion, isn't that great, they do have their systems very well implemented. They're not for me, but for their player base, it's very well done. I've never
played it. I've seen some gameplay of it, and I have no idea what's going on, but it sounds intense, and the people that are playing it are really into it.
It's a full-time job. The people who have been involved with it, there's been things where people have lost tens of thousands, the equivalent in real-life dollars, in wars in that game.
Yeah, I've heard about the epic wars, and it sounds crazy, and I would love to kind of get into that, but it just seems not my thing to get to that point.
Exactly. I don't have that much time to spend on one game. You know, even a long game nowadays, like I'm finding I have less and less time for the Skyrim type games that are hundreds of hours, and I more enjoy a game that's going to deliver not these short, not this, the Order 1887 or whatever, it's like 6 hours of gameplay or whatever. I still want to have 20 or 30 hours of gameplay out of a game, but I feel I get my money's worth at about that point. I feel that I've got my, if I drop my $60 or $70. EVE Online, interestingly enough, going to a free-to-play model. They're going to the World of Warcraft where it's free up to a certain point, and then you have to pay to keep going.
And actually, back to value of games.
For sure.
Probably the last game that I've played that I feel like I've definitely got my money's worth out of it would be Battleborn. Because I play that all the time. I have a lot of fun in that game, and I feel like I definitely got my money's worth for that game.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of the other games I've bought lately, like I didn't finish Dark Souls. I progressed a little bit into it. Metal Gear Solid, I got pretty far, and then kind of I got real mad at one mission, and I was just like, nope, I'm never doing that again.
Absolutely done.
Like, I got to near the end, my game, I think, somehow glitched out, and I was like, nope, fuck it, I'm done. I'm never playing, I'm not doing it.
That's especially when it's through no fault of your own, you're like, the last 5 hours of progress are
so
done.
Hard, I was stealthing around, doing all kinds of stuff, and then it's just like, the guy that's supposed to be there wasn't there, and I was just like, alright, I'm mad, and it's going to be hard to...
I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore.
But, I don't know.
There you go. But anyway, moving into free-to-play, this is kind of more my domain here, but one of my most favorite free-to-play games, I don't play a lot of free-to-play games, I usually have 1 or 2 running at once, usually mobile-based, but online on Facebook, I actually play a game called Marvel Avengers Alliance, which is unfortunately being shuttered. Apparently, for those of you who don't know, Disney owns Marvel now. They have for the last couple of years. And they've pursued this strategy where apparently they're shutting down all their online games, any free-to-play online things. And unfortunately, Marvel's Avengers Alliance, which has been played for 4 years, very fun 3 vs 3 RPG game where you can collect Marvel heroes and play them. against Marvel villains, free-to-play is being shut down. And it's unfortunate, however, one of the big problems with this is just about everyone who gets into a free-to-play online game, even paid MMOs, honestly, although it seems like... Sorry, someone's showing me his Harambe background on his phone. Even though it seems like at times, they'll be there forever, generally it's obviously not. Even World of Warcraft one day will sunset, as they call it. However, one of the big things that...
World of Warcraft's sun is not setting anytime soon.
It is not setting anytime soon, but one day they will come out.
One day, but not in the next couple of months or weeks.
But it is not this day. However, that being said, the point I'm trying to get at here is the big complaint a lot of people made was that it finished with an epic mission with several upgradable items that required collectibles. And for those who don't know, often these games make their money by offering you the chance to skip the grind for collectibles in exchange for real-life currency. In this case, it's called gold, and you have to spend real money to get it, or it's doled out in very tiny amounts by the game. So to complete the storyline, they at least finish the storyline off. But to complete the storyline, some of the items that were almost necessary, unless you're, MLG pro like me, you managed to get around it with an exploit. I managed to use characters to beat it that didn't require these, but most of them required some grinding, which most people would dump gold into. However, the very next game update after this was the announcement that in 1 month, 30 days, end of September, the game would be shut down. And so a lot of people complained, of course, that they had spent gold, real-life money, which they would not have otherwise spent because they wanted to upgrade these. They're called the Mighty Weapons. They wanted to upgrade these weapons and use them to fight the last story boss and then continue on with the game. They said they would not have spent it. Now, my question is, and I think warrants a little discussion, is what is an appropriate amount of time in a game like this? Now, it's different.
That is a great question because, there's a lot of free-to-play games where, you gotta spend real money to make progress if you feel like it's necessary to kind of go through it. But, if that game shuts down, how long until that game's allowed to shut down? How much notice,
Exactly.
A month seems too short.
It does to me.
Especially if there was just this big, crazy event that people spent money on not too long ago.
I think that was more appropriate than just the month is that. Now, I want to make note, this applies to a specific kind of free-to-play game, and that is ones, or any online game, where you can purchase in-game currency with real money. This would not apply to a game like World of Warcraft, for example, where it's specifically forbidden from purchasing in-game stuff with real-life money.
Can't you, though?
I don't.
Well, you can buy cosmetic stuff and vanity stuff.
But if you buy gold, they'll ban you if they catch you. Is what I'm saying. So what I mean to say is games where the game encourages you to spend money for the game.
Actually, I think you can buy game time with gold now, can't you? I think that's a thing.
I think so. Honestly, it's been years since I played.
Straight up, let's get this off my chest right now. I want to go back. I want to get it. I want to get them. I haven't got the last 3 expansions.
Okay.
But I've been watching Twitch this last week, and I've been watching Legion, and I want to play so fucking bad. I want to start a Demon Hunter.
Okay.
I want to get back into the world, and I've been talking to one of my buddies that doesn't work with me, but works for the same company, that also plays the game, and I kind of want to get into it. But I'm fighting to not let myself get back into it because...
Don't let the time sink.
It's I'll only be able to play on weekends, and most weekends I only get a day and a half to be home and be able to play games. And I don't want to spend it all playing World of Warcraft.
That's fair enough. Maybe save it till you're off this...
maybe next year.
But anyway, that aside, the big question is when it's appropriate to do this. Now, I think the big thing with Marvel Avengers Alliance that I think is more important than the 30 days... is that I think it's hugely inappropriate to throw in an event that says, listen, pay for this event, and everyone's going to pay for the event to skip the grind, and then a couple of weeks later say, okay, the game's closing.
Well, they wanted to milk their last little bit of money out of everyone before they shut it down, it seems like.
It seems like that was the case, and that really bothers me. I mean, who knows, maybe they're working on a profit share system where the developers themselves make more money if it's like that. But again, I think 30 days is probably, assuming there's nothing going on in-game, I think that's probably an appropriate amount of time, because basically if you've got people who maybe have a monthly membership, a lot of these games offer, elite memberships or whatever, VIP I think is the term. I think that's a fair amount of time to say, okay, we're going to cancel our subscription. And I understand they don't want to give a hugely long one, because if you said, look, it's going to sunset in 6 months, okay.
You're just going to lose your whole
You're going to lose your player base.
No
you're
one's
not going to
spend any money. No one's going to do anything. it's just going to die on its own.
Right. So I think 30 days, maybe 60, I would say is a better amount.
I think 60's fair.
Yeah, 60's fair, because that's enough time that players will still play the game. It's enough time that if you haven't got 60 days salary for your development staff, your game was doomed anyway. And I think that's enough time for players to say, okay, I'm going to play what I want out of this, and then I'm going to finish off. But I think the big thing here is that it's a real dick move, to put in an event that specifically calls for premium purchases and then end the game right afterwards. I think that's absolute garbage. I think it's crap, and I think it's uncalled for.
So, I'm just wondering, because I just started playing Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes last weekend.
Yes.
Because I've been mostly playing mobile games.
Yeah.
Are they going to shut that game down?
They very well might. Now, not all games are ending on the same date. I should mention that. But Disney, I guess about...
Yeah, tell me more about this Disney shutting down free-to-play games.
From what I understand, at their shareholders meeting, they said that their free-to-play online games have been vastly underperforming financially. Even Infinity is scheduled to be...
Yes, I remember hearing that a couple months ago.
Yeah, so that's part of that strategy. Apparently, they are just trying to get out of the gaming market in general.
Really?
And they're going to be, I guess, if they do gaming, it's going to be games that are like one-time purchase.
But is it the games that Disney has the rights? Because EA, I don't much about this game, but it seems like Capital Games made it. Yeah. EA publishes it.
Yeah.
But Disney has the rights to it.
So what that'll mean is that it'll be out as long, because licensing...
Because EA has the rights for all the Star Wars games for a while, right?
But, yeah, so licensing, however they've licensed, they can't shut it before the license runs out, right? They can't do it's not a legal thing.
Yeah.
So however long they have the license for is likely how long. So if EA's published it and they have a license for 2 more years, that's probably how long the game's going to last. Now this is also a different thing, because if it's published by EA, and are they an EA-owned studio that made the game? Do you know?
I don't know anything.
Fair enough. But getting into that, if it's someone else and it's not one of Disney's studios, that's different, because then they're just paying a licensing fee to Disney to make the game. So they're just basically throwing Disney money and saying, listen, we're going to give you $5 million for the rights to make your game. I don't know if that's going to be affected. This is specifically Disney Studios.
This looks like it's an EA studio, because it's EA Capital Games home. It seems like they make all the Dragon Age free-to-play game. It looks like they do the Galaxy Heroes.
That seems like it'll be an EA in-house then.
Yeah, okay.
So
it's an EA in-house thing.
I wouldn't suspect you have to worry about that.
Okay, I was just wondering if it's stuff that Disney was involved with altogether.
No,
but that's
and even if they were, again, they can't shutter a game until the license runs out. They may not give out licenses anymore after that. I doubt it, because again, a license is just free money for them.
Yeah, I guess it would make sense if they just get out of the market.
Yeah.
Then they can just make money by just owning the idea. They don't have to put any development, any resources into anything.
Yeah.
They just have to say permission.
Exactly. Here's what you're allowed to do with the characters. We're not going to see a Star Wars porn game anytime soon that's officially licensed. That being said, all those people who want to see their hot
and that's why
C-3PO,
today
R2-D2
we are
action
announcing
will have to wait.
Our own game studio, and we're going to be making a rip-off Star Wars porn game.
Yeah, it's Star Battles.
Star Battles.
XXX.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway.
It's going to be great. Yeah. It's going to have it's going to be like the whole universe.
Yeah.
You can go to every planet, and you can go... Every race is in it. We're going to have all of them. So many different character models. There's going to be... We're going to have spaceship battles. And there's going to be crazy monsters on every planet that you got to avoid while you're trying to pick up.
Exactly, and it's going to be huge, so it's very unlikely that you'll ever run into another player.
We're going to have...
But if
it's going to be all procedurally generated, and it's going to be great.
Exactly.
We're making it, just the two of us.
Yeah.
We totally have the capabilities to do that.
Yeah, 100%.
We're going to deliver on it. We're going to really release in a trailer for E3 next year.
Yep.
And everything you see in that trailer, believe it. And if I go on TV and do interviews, whatever I say is true.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's going to be in the game.
Yeah.
And we can do it. For real.
For real, yo. Anyway, all that aside, so I think that's the thing. But anyway, so for those of you, just quick warning though, for those of you who weren't aware, if you play a Disney game made by Disney Studios, sooner or later, it's going to be shut. Those who are not Disney Studios, I don't think have anything to worry about. But I think that basically concludes that. So let's move into the bulk of it. We've been playing a fair bit, probably the last 3 or 4 times we've hung out. We've been playing a little bit of VR.
Let's VR.
So we've been on the VR hype train a little bit.
For virtual reality.
Virtual reality.
For those that don't know.
For those who do not know, yes. It is a reality which is like the real world, but is in fact virtual.
And one thing you got to know about VR, if you die in VR, you die in real life.
Yes, don't die in the game. This is why there aren't so many games you can actually die in. You just have to restart because they don't want lawsuits from killing people. So
no, it's very dangerous.
But if you play a game where you can actually die, be aware. Like, you gotta exit out before that last hit point goes.
You have to pull the plug.
You know, have doctors ready. Otherwise, you're done. It's just that simple. Yeah. But all kidding aside, we've been playing on the Vive, which I have not had the opportunity to play with a consumer model Oculus. I got the chance to try it. I believe it was the Dev Kit 2, with one very minor exception, in my opinion. And again, it was the Dev Kit 2, but the Oculus it was the first, it was the pioneer of this era, and unfortunately, it was just completely surpassed, and in my opinion, totally outdone by the Vive.
The only thing I think the Oculus has going for them is now they got Facebook money, so they're going to try to make everything exclusive. Yeah. But that's just going to ruin the market.
I think so. And actually, I'll mention two things that I think are better. First is that they did have an existing game base when the Oculus was released. A lot of previously out games or released games were available for it. For example, Elite Dangerous, as soon as it was ready for it, ready to go. Again, not necessarily true VR, because if you can't touch type, you're basically fucked. Because you can't play it with controllers. But with that, so there was that. So, and the second thing is, honestly, I don't like the way the Vive sits on your head. It has a weird strap where instead of going around the back of your head, it kind of goes over the top. Yeah, it actually stays on fine. Like, we've been ducking and dodging and moving around. We've never had it fall off.
Never had it fall off.
But it feels like it's always about to fall off until you get into it and you forget that it's there. But when you put it on, you'd be like, is this on right? It just looks right on my eyes, but it doesn't feel right on my head. So it's a little weird to get used to. I think the Oculus had a much better behind the head. It had a big fitted thing, almost like a cushion that was strapped to the back. It was slightly more comfortable. Apart from that, though, I think the Vive is far superior. The Vive controllers, let's talk a little bit about those.
Those Vive controllers, they can take a beating.
Yes.
There's actually, there's a groove on my ceiling.
Might have been my fault.
I think it was me when I threw the grenade. But yeah, the controllers, they are pretty durable, must say, because
They're more durable than your ceiling.
Yeah, when I freak out in-game, I usually smash the ceiling because I have a very low ceiling in the basement.
It's not that low. It's about standard height, but most ceilings aren't meant for you to throw things like right up overhead. And some
They're
games
not made for throwing virtual grenades and grenade skeet ball.
No, that's for sure.
But the controllers, very precise.
Very precise.
So precise. It feels weird because when you look at, like, in your headset, you can see the controllers. You can't see your hands, but they're so accurate that whatever you do with your hand, you know exactly where your fingers are.
Yeah.
Because it's just so accurate
and
to where it is in your hand.
Yeah, and I found it incredibly easy. Like, if you set them on the couch or on the ground, you can just look through without being able to see your hands. And you can look through the headset.
Yeah.
And you can pick them up, no problem. Like, they're exactly where they're supposed to be. And it feels great when you've got something like a gun or a grenade or something in your hand. It feels like you've got that thing in your hand. Because even though the controllers look like these weird space magic wand things, you don't see that when you're playing the game.
Yeah, you see your sword or your shield or your bow.
Yeah.
Or, what else have I played?
Grenades.
My pistols. So, I was talking
Banana bombs.
I don't know if we want to get into what games we played.
We'll get into that in a little bit, but you can mention them. Feel free to mention them.
Yeah, Duckpocalypse. I bought that. It was like $4. Had so much fun with it. It's just like a stupid, fun game. It's basically like Duck Hunt.
Yeah.
But with robot ducks.
Yeah.
And like mecha dogs.
See, now I got to give this a try.
Yeah,
next time I come
over. It's a lot of fun. But the controllers, they feel great. Some games, I need to kind of look into more on what all the buttons on the controllers do.
Yeah.
Like, there's not a whole lot of buttons on it, but sometimes the touchpad can be multiple things.
Yeah, I noticed that on that one we were playing that had the grenade ski
on
ball
hot dogs, horseshoes, and hand grenades.
Yeah, hot dogs, horseshoes, and hand grenades.
Hand grenades, horseshoes, and hot dogs.
Something like that.
H3.
H3. Triple H, if you're into wrestling, if you will. But this is H3 instead. But yeah, the controllers are very precise, and I just want to make note of anyone who hasn't tried it yet. It's not like the Wii. It's not like the PlayStation Move. No. It's not like the frickin' Kinect at all. This is one-to-one, true virtual reality movement.
Yeah. And we've been playing in room scale.
Yeah.
We got about a 2 meter by 3 meter space,
give or take.
Sometimes with in the back end, I do have the couch in it, so you will bump into the couch. But most of the time, you're not running into stuff. It's your hands reaching over the couch. So that's what I'm not too worried about. Yeah. I don't do it too close to the TV because I don't want to punch my TV.
Punch the TV. You haven't punched it.
You were pretty close. You were between the TV and the entertainment stand.
Yeah, I remember that.
It once. I might try to see if I can just rotate my play space around so the front is towards my couch so that there's nothing.
Yeah, that way if you have to reach over it for something, the worst you're going to do is hit the couch cushions. That makes sense. So the room scale is quite fun. There haven't been a lot of games that truly make use of the room scale, I think. I think most of them, even ones that have room scale movement, I've found, you're still not really moving around in it so much as it's just got, like you have to teleport everywhere.
It's good to move around. Yeah, the only thing, like locomotion, trying to move around is hard. Teleporting is fine. I actually was playing, I booted up Solus Project.
Okay.
In that game, you use the button to move yourself around. Yeah. I almost fell over, and I wanted to puke. Because I don't have my VR legs yet. Yeah. And I was like moving, and I'm like, my guy's moving around, but my legs aren't moving. But my mind feels like my legs should be moving. And then I had to like put a fist on the ground because I had to like stop. And I was like, I can't, like, I don't think I'm gonna play that in VR. I think you can teleport around in that game. There is a teleporter, but I think I'm just gonna not play that in VR.
Hold out till you get that Omni or whatever it's called.
When I buy an Omni, that will be fun. But even with an Omni, I don't know how it's going to work so well because you're basically trapped.
Yeah,
in the Omni.
Well, from what I understand, it's like a surface, so you'll run on it.
No, but like for Hollow Point, that would be shit.
Yeah, that's true. I don't. Again, but, it's still a new technology, so we can't.
I think for games like Subnautica, which I tried to play in Revive, and it didn't work very well.
Yeah.
Solus Project.
Revive, is that the Oculus emulator thing? Yeah.
Yeah. So I downloaded that, tried to get that going. I started the game up. Yeah. But I wanted to move around with the controller, but I could only press A. But I had to move around with my headset. Ooh. But it was weird. It was weird. I think I just need to tweak the settings to make it work. But so with the Vive, I feel like Vive games don't really work on Oculus, but all the Oculus games work on Vive. Yeah. Because most of those games use a keyboard or controller and just have the headset on, where most of the Vive games, you need the Vive controllers to work.
I think, because...
And then you can use this Revive program, which tricks it into thinking you have an Oculus on.
It's basically an emulator for the Oculus, for those who are familiar with that. And it's interesting, too, because the Oculus uses they use the Xbox gamepad, basically. It's because I think even if you buy one, it comes with an Xbox gamepad. So basically, it's just a matter of remapping the keys to your Vive controllers. Whereas, since there's no one-to-one detection of hand movement or any kind of...
They do have some sort of weird hand things, though. I remember seeing them at E3 and on their website when I was downloading the Oculus installer.
Interesting. Well, we'll see where those go. But the Vive ones are excellent.
So great.
The viewing resolution, it takes a little bit to get it situated on your face so it isn't blurry. Yeah. But I find that once you get it going,
once you've got it on for a bit and you kind of adjust to it, it's great.
Yeah. I'd say if you're looking into getting into it, expect your first half hour to an hour to really, even once you get the game started, past the initial setup and everything, expect that much time to be getting used to how to look around in it, because there'll be times when you want to move your head and you just should move your eyeballs or whatever. That sort of thing. I would say that's probably a good period for most people. I'd say after when we first started going, by the end of the day, we were both perfectly fine with it. Yeah. You know, again, the VR legs is a bit of a different thing, but that's also as much just getting used to having, there's a couch here in real life, and there's not one in what I'm seeing. So there is that. But I would say, I'd say give it a little while. You'll first feel a little weird and stuff, but you'll get into it for sure.
And you know what I was thinking about yesterday is augmented reality headsets. Yeah. Because I was like, man, wouldn't it be sweet? You put one on, and it's like basically like Pokemon Go, where there's stuff out and about, and you could have like your gun or whatever, and you could like be out in the woods or at like a paintball course, and it could be there's like creatures and stuff attacking you, like some sort of like horde mode, where it's just like programmed through some sort of GPS location thing to attack you. I think that would be a cool headset idea in the future.
I think that's
and
got
like
some
you
promise.
could definitely do that in VR. But if you wanted to move around more, I think I'm waiting for like a kind of like HoloLens. I think that would be exciting.
Yeah, I would like
future,
to see a kind of like a laser tag, almost, but with that would be an interesting way to go.
Yeah.
I think that would be fun. I would love to see like if you could bring Pokemon Go to glasses and just so that you just walk around and see them. I think something like that would be very cool.
Yeah, like you just have like some AR goggles on, and I think that would be cool. But,
it would be cool. I mean,
I don't know. They haven't really shown much with HoloLens lately.
No,
and I don't think it looks that great.
No, HoloLens doesn't look great. And I mean, Google Glass has been around for a while, but that's never really taken off either. No. So I think that might be something where the technology is just a little behind yet.
And
maybe?
I wonder how much VR is going to catch on. Because, like, augmented reality just did really well with Pokemon Go, although it has died off quite drastically.
Yeah.
But, like, I still play it. I played it when I biked over here. Just to turn it on to get those kilometers
Get those eggs going.
Hatch those eggs. But, I just... Until PlayStation VR comes out, which, I don't know, I kind of want to get it, but I don't have the time to play all my systems anymore.
Yeah.
Because I just don't have the time anymore.
Yep.
But I feel like PlayStation VR will probably won't be as good as the Vive.
Yeah, well,
but it's going to have the games.
Yeah, it is. And it's interesting that you mention that because you'd mentioned, of course, that you had some difficulties with, some nausea and movement issues. And, of course, the big games that have been mentioned for VR
are all, like, move around.
And Fallout.
Oh my god,
so
I'm
can you imagine Doom?
Die in Doom.
Like Doom, you're running at 90 miles an hour, chainsawing, jumping, mantling, and stuff.
I think that will be fine if it's with a controller, though.
Yeah.
I think I'll be fine with a controller. Because that's how I move around and everything. Yeah. But moving just with my thumbstick and like moving forward, it fucked me up. But I might die in Doom because I don't know if I'd be able to handle how fast that guy moves.
Yeah.
And it might just break my brain, and my legs might just fail.
I think someone did a thing online saying that his regular movement speed is faster than Usain Bolt runs. So that's an interesting thing. But yeah, so that'll be interesting.
I'm excited for Fallout VR, though.
That makes a lot more... Because Fallout, although it's movement, it's not as fast-paced. Yeah. It's not based on running, jumping, ducking, etc. It's more about your choices in weapons.
Bats is going to be cool. Bats is going to be cool with it. Because then you just go in Bats mode all the time.
Well, Vats seems like it lends itself purposely to that. Be like, enemy, pick its
Todd
location.
Todd Howard fucking knew this whole time.
Exactly. So that looks interesting. But let's move into a few of the games. Now, one thing I will mention is that there's not a lot of real great games for VR.
No.
They're more proof of concept.
There's no games. It's just tech demos.
Again, unless you count games that were already released, like Elite Dangerous. But again, Elite Dangerous, even though you're in a VR headset, you're still playing mouse and keyboard. So it's basically just the viewpoint as opposed to being a true VR game.
Like the Vive games that I've played so far, although I bought this game raw data, it was quite expensive, and I haven't played it too much. I might play some later. But it's got a story. It's kind of a game to it, but still it's more to just stand here and everything swarms you and you shoot them in the head. Yeah. And that's what a lot of them are. The shooting games are great because it's fun shooting with the gun. I hope that they make some sort of attachment later on because it'd be nice to have the butt of the gun in your shoulder for aiming.
Yeah, I will say any of the games where we've had to use a rifle two-handed have been... The pistols are great.
Pistols, swords, shields, bows, great. But the rifles...
Yeah. It really needs a bar almost where you could clip the two things together.
It needs some sort
of
rifle
shoulder
attachment.
stock. Even without the shoulder stock, like even things like submachine guns and stuff where it's two-handed, they're very difficult to aim because in real life... You can't twist them to odd angles because you can only bend them as a gun. Just for those of you who don't know, both myself and Gapper have done quite a fair bit of shooting. He hunts. I used to hunt, and I do some sport shooting down when I visit in America because it's a lot easier to do pistol shooting down there. So we're both not amateurs and novices.
What I guess I could do is I'll just tape my Vive controllers to my shotgun.
There we go.
Boom, problem solved. Give me money. I'll sell that. I'll just sell people duct taped guns. That's my kind of my thing with VR is just duct tape. Duct tape my things to my base stations to the wall. Duct taped them on. But I did buy stands, and after buying those stands, it is so much better.
Yeah, it's highly recommended. If you're going to drop $1,200 on a VR headset,
buy the tripods, buy the little mounts for them, because it's so much better tracking now with those on. Because with the duct tape on it, they'd kind of move a little bit.
And now you're not limited to where your walls are, right? You can say, okay, I want this 3 meter by 3 meter space.
I didn't want to drill into my vent. Because that's where I had to put the one to get the height. And I didn't want to drill my mount into my vent. So I duct taped it on, and then I just didn't feel like drilling into that wall because I didn't know if it would work there. Yeah. So with the stands, I can move them around, and if I want to put it in another room, that's possible. But yeah, so the games we've been playing, let's get to that.
Let's get into the game.
Favorite I would say that we got is Audio Shield.
Audio Shield, to me, represents just this pure form of fun with it. For those who haven't played any games like that, it creates a randomized game based on the background music that you choose for it. You have to block different colored orbs with shields, and it's got a few options. You can choose shields that guard your sides more, guard the front more.
I use the
Spartans, which are meant for backhanding.
Pretty small.
Yeah, they're just the plain circular shield. So it's very interesting how that works. Because it's different. Every different song is different. There's a lot of ones online where you can choose from your own collection. And so
I just do Attack on Titan. I played the Attack on Titan theme 6 times in a row once. I was drenched in sweat.
There we go.
I played it on harder. Yeah. And it's crazy and especially when I played it when I had the larger play space mapped out.
Yeah.
And I was playing with socks luckily, so I could slide from side to side, hitting them with the shields. And it really worked out great with the larger play space to slide around.
Yeah, it is a fantastic game to get you moving.
It's a lot of fun. It gets you moving. I think it's good for cardio. Yeah. And you start punching. I don't normally punch. I'm more just try to hit them. Be quick about it. But yeah, I've had a lot of fun with that game.
It's a lot of fun. And also, for those who don't know, my real life job is I'm a strength coach and personal trainer. It is actually quite good cardio. Your heart rate gets up. If you're looking for one of those games that will give you a game that's going to give you physical activity at the same time, it has 100% my seal of approval. I went through 2 different ones on hardest. I think I did Sandstorm. And I think I did that Space Jam remix right after that. And I was sweating buckets afterwards. You're moving around. It's like doing a cardio class almost while you're doing it. It's fantastic for that. And just pure fun. Like, it was designed, obviously, from the ground up for VR. It's not like, oh, here's a shooter that we've put to VR screens. It really takes advantage of how VR works. So, highly recommended. I think that's our top.
And one thing I gotta say, though, just about VR in general, is since the day when we sat here on that computer and looked at the VR games to the games that are already out right now is quite drastic.
Yes.
Like, there was games that looked worse than, like, vanilla Minecraft that were in VR, and now there's games that actually look quite decent.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. If you want to play an action game with PlayStation-era graphics, PlayStation, the first one, that just happens to be on a virtual reality headset, there are games for you out there.
But, what's another? Vanishing Realms.
Vanishing Realms was neat.
Yeah, so it's like a fantasy sword and shield game. Yeah. You get a bow, there's some magic you can get. Yeah. I like that game because you can bend over, pick things up, put it on your little pouch on your side. Yeah. You're blocking and stabbing, or I'll just dual weapons and just wildly flail them around to try to kill guys is a great strategy. Yeah. It has a little bit of story to it, like just reading documents on the ground to try to lead you along. I haven't really played that one in the last couple weeks, but it's a lot of fun.
It's a neat one. I didn't get too far into it because it's unlike many of the VR games, they're played in 5-minute rounds. And then it just tracks your progress as you go. This one is actually a game where you play through it. So I didn't get into it too much, but a little bit I played. The sword controls, very nice, one-to-one stuff. Until you get used to moving around in VR, because it uses a teleporter system. Yeah.
I'm pretty used to the teleporters, so I can just whip around.
Exactly.
Even the first time I used it, I'm like, wow, I'm actually kind of good at teleporting. Like, I never got hit by the big boss when I fought him the first time. When I fought him the second time, I got hit. But, yeah, I just, whip around, hit him once, whip around, teleport around. But yeah, no, I think that game's fun. I think that's a good show of potential for fantasy games like that. And I did buy Tales of Luca, I think it was called. Way worse.
Okay.
I didn't really like it that much. It was pretty lame. It was more just like you come into a room, there's 4 doors.
Yep.
You go into the next room, fight what's in the room, go to the next room. It was alright, but that was at the time, though, when the tracking wasn't working as great.
Yeah.
Until I got the stand, so I'm going to go back to that one, give it a go.
With the better tracking?
Better tracking. Because I kept having an issue where because the tracking wasn't working right, my left controller would just fly off.
Yeah, I noticed that a few times. Like, it would just kind of drift off into space.
But I haven't had that problem since I got the mount. Got the stand.
The stand's excellent.
So, yeah. What's another one we were playing?
Space Pirate Trainer, I think, was a fun one.
Yeah.
It's balls out hard. Like,
very hard.
For those who are not, even if you're used to first-person shooters and stuff, virtual reality play very differently because you're not so much used to having to look your head to move. So you have to watch all the different sides and stuff, and that takes a little getting used to as opposed to just
you got to watch where you're moving, and then to actually dodge. You don't just press B to crouch, or like whatever your button is on your chosen system, but you have to crouch. You have to squat, duck, lean back, matrix style it, like do whatever to dodge out of the way. And that gets me taken used to, and I haven't got that far in that game because it's just. It's hard.
It is hard. It's challenging.
Especially when there's multiple guys shooting at you and you're trying to move around. You do got the riot shield you can use, but I'll usually just dual wield.
It took us a while to figure out how to get the shield out. You have to reach over your shoulder.
I think someone just accidentally did it.
I did. I was aiming up.
How the hell did you get that shield?
Yeah. And then I'm just like, and then I reached over my shoulder and it pulled out a second gun. So if you really felt the need, you can pull out 2 shields, which you live, I guess, but you're not going to accomplish anything.
You can kind of reflect them back, but it's not. You're not going to hit much.
No, you're not going to hit much. So that was a very interesting one. I enjoyed that. The shooting, I have to say on that,
so good,
so good. It's quite good, and you don't need to have any kind of experience with real firearms. But I will say, if you know how to take a sight picture and line up 2 dots on a lot of the games, a lot of them are very accurate to that. This one's more of a Twitch-based one, so you just point and shoot.
You kind of just have a laser that you're looking at.
Yeah.
You can shoot with.
It's not one of them. But moving on to some of the other games that...
Hollow Point was another one we played. That game's fun.
Yeah.
Once you get used to the aiming of that bow, man, you're moving around. That game is one of the only games I really got tripped up in the cord with.
Yeah. Well, you got to rotate so much on that game. And I will say, the one thing that was disappointing with that is the enemies in that, right? You're basically shooting at...
I thought... I could have swore when we watched the trailer for that game, there was enemies that came towards you. There must be a way to get to another game mode.
Either that, or we're just not good enough to get to a level where there actually are those enemies.
That's a good point. So we've only got to level 5.
We've got it so we can start at 5. Yeah. I think we've gotten to 6 or 7.
Yeah.
But I think there's 30 in
I got
total.
a new highest score last weekend when I was playing.
Yeah. So that was quite fun.
And I lost because I got tangled in the cord and pulled out one of the things.
Because that game, it's all about, you're basically in a dojo with things shooting at you, and you got to shoot them with arrows.
When you shoot them, they shoot back.
Yeah, they shoot back. You got to duck
and
dodge. And the first guys you fight only shoot when you shoot them, but they give you a retaliatory shot when they die. And getting used to dodging that takes a little while.
And then it's eventually, the farther you get on, if you don't hit them in time, they'll just shoot at you.
Yeah. The red ones shoot at you, I think, regardless of whether you shot them or not.
If you get hit 3 times, you're done.
I think you've got 3 times. And it's really easy to get hit 3 times. The bow is a lot of fun on that, though.
The bow is really good.
It shows the very potential of virtual reality. You pull arrows out, you knock them, you fire them. And again, it takes a little while to get used to, but I kind of love that it's not just pressing a button. Okay, you got to hold the knock and then release. I really kind of enjoy that. I think that's what virtual reality is about to me. It's adding something different to the game instead of just taking a game and putting it in that system. As far as the more tech demo-ish ones, I really did enjoy, and I hope they expand upon it because they've built a very good system, that hot dogs, horseshoes, and hand grenades. If they could put real enemies into that game, that would be one of the best games because they've got...
Well, there's a couple where there's just little robots that move around.
Yeah.
But... I didn't really play that one too much, but the shooting, the reloading, it was funny when you were trying to reload into the spot where the magazine didn't go in.
Yeah, I was trying to load it because you have to actually grab mags and load them in this game.
You have to know how to operate because you got to pick up the gun, pick the magazine. You have to slide the magazine in, and then you gotta like
charge
you gotta cock it back,
yeah.
and then
if
maybe
it's got a safety, you gotta turn the safety off.
A lot of the guns I can't figure out how to get the clip out. It's like I can see the clip release button, but I don't know how to interact with the clip release button. So most of the pistols, you just press it down and it just pops it out. But
pops out. But
on most of the assault rifles, I just spawn a new rifle in instead of reloading.
I will say, though, they've done some great modeling in that game. I know the guns have different names than what the real gun is, but they've modeled in several assault rifles, pistols, shotguns.
Yeah, like there's AK-47s. I think there's some like AR-15s or M14s.
Yeah,
or
something
M4s
similar like that.
There. There's like the Drogonov sniper.
Yeah.
There's 870 shotgun.
Yeah.
You got your revolver.
There's a revolver, couple pistols.
1911 pistol.
Yeah.
USP pistol.
Yeah. And not all of them, they obviously couldn't buy the names for all of them because some of them just have...
Thumper grenade launcher.
Yeah.
Roman candles, dynamite.
Yeah, exactly, throwing bombs. But what's very cool is that this is the one where, this is the one where knowing a little bit about guns will actually help because the aiming in this one is very precise.
Yeah.
And so if you know how to line up your dots and take a proper sight picture and all that and actually fire the pistols, it's good. This is the one I think where we had the most trouble with the rifles because you actually have to hold them in a two-handed... You can try and fire it one-handed.
Yeah.
But
you can attach the other controller, but then you're just moving not together.
Yeah.
And then you got to get it... Then you want to bring it up to look through the scope, but then you hit the controller on the front of the sight, or you close your eye and it's kind of blurry. It just the rifles need some work, or I just need to work on my.
But I would very much
like
exactly. But I would very much like if they took because the physics were great in that as well with the grenades and everything else.
Yeah.
And you can spawn in all sorts of stuff.
Ball is a lot of fun.
Yes. And then there's the one where you clear the house of the hot dog man. That one was quite fun.
Yeah.
I would love to see that system expanded upon. I think it's probably the best use of the one-to-one VR controls I think we've seen.
Actually, I gotta buy this game. I saw it on Steam this week. It's called Onward.
Okay.
It's basically that. It's a milsim.
Yeah.
In VR, and it looks awesome.
That's cool.
I think I might check that out. But yeah, it just came out this week. The graphics look pretty decent. I don't know how you move in it though. I don't know if my VR legs can handle it.
We'll find out those VR legs.
I might have to pick that up.
But that one was quite a blast. I had a lot of fun. I kind of hogged it for about an hour when I first got on there. But the grenade ski ball is just fun. That's just a fun. It's a dumb but fun
especially
game.
The way I play.
Yeah,
I play very risky.
Yes, the juggle the grenade to cook it.
I like to master cook them.
Exactly.
So I will throw it up to let the handle fall off, catch it again, wait a second, and then whip it to.
I'll laugh if there is a way to cook it in game, and we're just doing it that way because we don't know what it is.
Well, then I started being all fancy and throwing it through my legs and around the back and stuff,
and blew it up all over the place.
I would have died.
Yes,
I would have died.
That's the fun of virtual reality. You can juggle grenades, and if you screw it up, it's not a big deal.
Actually. When I get home, I'm juggling grenades. I'm just gonna try to
see
juggle
how many
some
you
grenades
can get going,
and see how many I can get going. One's gonna blow up eventually.
Well, you know what you want to do? Just juggle them without the pin first, and then see if you can throw one up, pull the pin on one, throw it, catch the next one, pull the pin and throw it, and then catch the next and pull it. And see
life goals.
Life goals. There we go. But that's the kind of fun you can have in VR right now. What was the NVIDIA? Carnival.
VR Funhouse.
VR Funhouse.
That was fun.
Couple of fun games.
And I got an email that they did do an update to it this week.
Oh, yeah? So. Okay. And that one was free, too, right?
That was free.
Yeah, so give that, if nothing else, give that a try. The target shooting game on it is a blast. Great physics, great aiming with the pistols. Same with the one that fires the cannon out.
Yeah.
That was good. And then there's...
the punching, and the whack-a-mole.
The whack-a-mole. Virtual whack-a-mole. Who would have thought you could have fun playing virtual whack-a-mole? But it's actually really good. You pick up the thing, and I think that's the one I might have been where I nearly smacked your TV, I think, the first time we played it, where I put one hand between the TV and the wall, or the entertainment unit, and I just missed it. But,
I played Job Simulator last weekend.
Ah, okay. How was that?
Oh, it was so much fun. I was working in the diner. And, I started kind of, role-playing a little bit. Like, I got this one coming up for you, sir. And, I'm making a sandwich and putting stuff in a microwave and making a cake. And
nice.
It was kind of fun. I've never worked at a diner, but
there you go.
I'm sure if most people would not have that much fun with it. But in the game, it was fun.
There you go.
Making sandwiches and doing dishes is way easier in VR. You just squirt soap and put it in the water and it's clean.
There you go.
So,
did you ever start throwing stuff at customers?
I did break a wine bottle and I dropped a mug.
There you go.
But the health inspector came in, so I had to throw a cup at the fire detector to see if it was still working. It wasn't.
It wasn't.
And then there was some like weird microchip bugs crawling around.
Yeah.
So I just turned the oven on high and just cooked them on there until they went away.
Nice.
Before the health inspector got in.
Very
we passed.
nice. There you go. So yeah, that's good. So for those listening, just so you know, you may have noticed that a lot of what we're talking about, again, it's fun little stuff. Yeah. It's tech demos. It's proof of concept.
Duckpocalypse.
Yeah, sorry, we can't skip that.
The game is great. So basically, you start off, you're just like in this like little duck blind shack thing. You start the game, the windows fall down, there is a secret where you can shoot the roof, and like it rockets up. Nice. And there's just ducks flying around in a circle. There's robot ducks, there's ducks on like crazy rocket cars, and you're just shooting like wild. You can blow up cars in the distance, you can blow up barrels. There's like the dog from Duck Hunt that's now like a mech. Yeah. He's walking at you, you're going to blow him up, and then eventually you just go until everything blows up and you die.
Nice.
And then game over.
Have you ever felt the need to go fuck up some ducks?
Yeah, so it's we'll see if it's good practice for duck season this year.
We will see.
I don't think it will be because you don't use dual-wield akimbo pistols for duck hunting, and you don't use pistols for duck hunting.
Shit, I've been doing it wrong all these years.
So for those of you that are doing that, that's wrong, and probably very much illegal.
Probably very illegal.
Very illegal, and I'm calling the M&R on you. So, don't do it.
Don't do it. But all that aside, yeah, so don't get into it yet. If you're looking for the hardcore games, they've got a couple again.
Wait until 2017.
Wait until 2017. And even then, I suspect the way development cycles work, probably around 2018, late 2019, is when we're going to start seeing games designed from the ground up for VR.
Because, 2017 is going to be games put into VR. Yeah, 2018, I think you're right. 2018 will be made for VR games, not demos.
Your typical big, some are longer, but your typical big AAA studio, you're looking at about a 2 to 3 year development cycle. I mean, some games are bigger, but on average. So if they started now, or had started, earlier in this year, kind of when VR was taking off, I think 2018 to 2019 is when we're going to start seeing it. I think it's going to be out of reach for a while, because again, they're now only marketing to people, because realistically speaking, you're looking at a minimum. This is not optimum. This is just to run it. You're looking at a $1,500 computer, and you're looking at, again, about another $1,500 for the VR headset, mounts, setting up your room, all that. So you're looking at a minimum of about a $3,000 investment to play. That's not to play maximum resolution, ultra settings, 60 FPS, 90 FPS, whatever. That's just to play. To play high end, you're looking at probably closer to $2,000 for your rig. And again, you have to have a room set up for it. So if you don't have a free room, you're limited to seat scale games.
You might have to buy a new house.
You might have to buy a new house.
Then you're looking at hundreds of thousands
of dollars.
Just to play some VR.
Just to play some VR. So I don't think there's going to be so much development money dumped into that yet. However, lots of people have bought it. Just about every VR system, I don't know if they still are, but have been on back order. You order it today, you're not going to get it for a month or two.
No, that's not the case. When I bought my VR headset, I bought it on a weekend. Yep. It was at my house on the Monday before my payment even went through.
Well, you're in luck in that case, because I've heard of people asking a lot.
Like, I didn't even expect it. My brother texted me, he's like, hey, some Vive thing came in.
Some Vive thing came in. What the hell is a Vive?
I was like, are you sure? It's like, yeah, I opened it, that's what it is. I was like, what? And the next morning, I finally got, hey, your order has shipped and we've taken your payment. It's like, what?
I'm aware. It's at my house.
It's at my house.
Very nice.
I will just go ahead and cancel that order.
Yeah. Could you cancel that order for me, please, and give me my $1,500 back? In all seriousness, though, it's not a quick setup. If you're not a person who sticks with top of the line stuff for computers, you are not going to be ready out of the box. You're going to have to build a new rig, and then you're going to have to set up. So I think that market's limited right now. But that being said, there certainly is a market. VR games are selling. Looking at some of the ones for the future, a couple things that look interesting. I haven't got it yet.
That Star Wars game looks cool.
The Star Wars game looks cool. Some of the other applications for the technology that I think look really interesting, a lot of places have been telling they're going to be selling virtual seats for pay-per-views, which I think is a fantastic idea, because getting tickets to something like the Olympics or if you're a wrestling fan,
I tried to watch the Olympics in VR, but I couldn't get it to work.
So that's stuff that's... And again, it's new. I suspect in a couple of years it'll be sorted out. But imagine they even got 6 seats reserved around the stadium or something. You know,
no, man, I want
back.
UFC. I want to be in the ring, walking around, like someone's like getting like tapped out. I'm like kind of like looking around, like like this is sweet. Like I want to be walking around in the ring.
I think it'll probably be limited to where they can actually put cameras, but you could be right beside the ring, over top of the
whole ring. Yeah. Man. Oh, I'd be walking around in the ring. Because didn't Dota? They've been doing. You can watch Dota in VR.
This is true.
And they had that already for the international.
Exactly.
I didn't do it, but you can.
But I think that sort of thing will be might be more of a thing to break into even in games, because you look at these things, you say, okay, well look, I can't afford to go to Vegas to watch the UFC fight. I can't afford to go to wherever WrestleMania is. I can't afford to go to where the Olympics are.
I want to be on the top rope. As my seat.
Yeah.
That's what I'm watching.
But if you could imagine, flip through the cameras and just see what every cameraman is seeing and be like, okay, I want to be here, here, and here. I would rather pay for that than pay to actually be there. You know what I mean? I would rather pay for that, even if it's going to cost the same price as a pay-per-view, like say $50, for something I really wanted to see, to be able to be up close and in the action like that. I would pay for that more than anything else.
Even like a virtual, because virtual tour, like you could do a virtual tour of like a museum even.
Yeah.
Like you could walk around in VR in a museum. Because like I climbed Mount Fuji on Google Maps one day.
Yeah.
Like mission accomplished. I did it. But the applications and just like
imagine
viewing things and kind of just like travel and looking at historic sites. You could just do it in VR.
Yeah,
it's all mapped out.
I mean, all you'd really need to do to get the imaging for it is have some guy do it with a GoPro on his head, and then you could go through the whole thing. And it's proof of concept. I mean, you look at people who are going to pay for stuff like Train Simulator, and there's people who really like that, games like that, or all these truck simulator games. Imagine now you can do it, but you're actually sitting in it. I think that sort of thing is where you're going to see it going a lot. And I look forward to more of the viewing. Some of the gimmicky stuff, mind you, is kind of dumb. A couple that I'll point out that I've seen. There's one I saw, it's a virtual movie theater. So you can watch movies with your friends sitting beside you on the screen. And I'm looking at it and just thinking, if I'm going to put on a virtual reality headset to watch a movie, I don't want to see a screen and edges of a screen and the guy sitting next to me, whatever.
That seems stupid.
It's stupid. If I want to watch a movie with a friend, I'm going to say, listen, I have multiple screen sharing on Netflix. Here's my Netflix password. We're going to put on this movie, and we're going to watch Netflix together. And that's what we're going to do. I wouldn't want them to have to physically turn over and be like, hey, there's Jim's avatar.
That was fucking sick. That was cool.
I mean, I'll just put them on some kind of thing and do that. Yeah. Another one I saw that looked like it had potential, but it turned out to be a flop. I believe it was called Retro Neon Arcade or something similar. It sets up this arcade where you can set up games on old game emulators for arcade. And then you can walk around in it, and there's a virtual bowling alley and a dartboard and some other crap like that. But I was looking at it, and I'm like, oh, that seems really cool. But then it turns out you can't play the emulated games with the other people in the arcade. So I thought it would be cool to be like, okay, I can get, Gapper's at his house, I'm at my house. We're going to load up this virtual arcade, and we're going to play this arcade game together. But no, it doesn't work that way. You can play it single player and look over at his avatar, but if he plays it, he's also playing it single player. So that seemed like a bit of a flop. If they could get that connectivity, I think that would be cool. To be like, oh yeah, let's go play some old Super Nintendo or, games together on something like that.
What was another cool thing I played was that tilt brush. I did some art. Yes. And it was like all kinds of weird, like different lines you could draw. I just made a bunch of random things. Didn't really draw anything, but you could make some cool VR art. Like that's a possibility.
It's a kind of neat idea, and I could see something like that being very useful for potentially in places where you don't want to have the actual stuff. Like, say you got kids, right? You don't necessarily want to have to clean up after their painting. You know what I mean?
Let them go wild in
VR. Let them go wild in VR. What was that one we played with machines we were building?
Fantastic Contraption.
Fantastic Contraption. Kind of neat.
The railgun has still not been made.
The railgun still hasn't been made. Yeah, the physics in it are not... Well, they may actually...
Basically, you're like, all right, I got this sick machine. It's on legs. It's going to stand up. Yeah. And you press go and just tumbles apart. Everything flies apart.
Yes.
It's just like you have this amazing dream... and then you press go, and your dream shatters.
This dream falls apart literally in front of you.
Ruins dreams.
Admittedly, it might be us that's wrong and not the physics. It's a possibility.
We hadn't really unlocked anything. Like, we just unlocked that thing to, like, have, like,
rigid joints.
That goo to make it rigid, so...
Yeah,
I think it's just we didn't progress enough to kind of make crazy contraptions.
Yeah, we really should give that one another go at some point.
Some time.
But it was quite fun. For what we did do, it was kind of neat. Again, more a proof of concept than anything else. It was a lot like, reminded me a lot of Besieged.
I think VR Besieged would be pretty cool.
Yeah. It would be cool. You just build it and then put a camera on your engine at some point.
Like
so
you're standing on your engine, just looking at the destruction.
Yeah. Exactly.
Or you could, like, somehow pilot it.
Yeah.
'Cause you do have to operate things. So if you could, like, kind of be moving levers and stuff and then be working on it, I think that would work out pretty cool.
I think that would be very cool. I would love to see games kind of going more into what we'd like to see now. The big thing I want to see is something like... I don't know if you ever played Steel Battalion.
Yeah.
Not the crappy Xbox version, but the original.
I played the Kinect demo. Worst thing ever.
No, I mean the original one that cost $500 that came with the entire mech seat. So now you don't have to have an entire mech seat. You can just have everything virtual and have it actually work. And I would love to see games like that. Not on Kinect. I would love to see games like that, or where you're in a tank. Or a fighter.
There was a tank game that I saw on Steam, but it just looked awful.
Again, I'm talking more properly developed ones.
This was like cartoons.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
stuff like that.
I would
or
love
fighter
to
jets.
be able to fly like an A-10.
Yeah. Take the Warthog in. You see, this is where I think the multiplayer comes in. You've got an actual pilot, and you've got an actual gunner, and that sort of thing. Because the gunner and the pilot, again, you wouldn't need room scale. You just have to have them seated.
Because, like, when you fly an Apache helicopter, you basically have a VR headset on.
Pretty much.
That's how you see stuff.
Pretty much. So I think that's where I'd like to see it go. I'm less interested. A lot of people seem to be more interested in the first-person stuff. I'm actually not as interested in the Fallout, Doom thing, because those games are not made for VR. They're meant, if they were going to be in VR, you'd need to have, like, a headset on and have an open field or something. You know what I mean? I'm more interested in the things where... Okay, you're in VR, but it's VR something. It doesn't even have to be a real plane. You could be flying a virtual spaceship. Again, your Elite Dangerous kind of thing, something like that. But I'd love to see something more built ground up for the Vive especially. Because, I mean, you basically could have one, it'd be cockpit controls, basically. Set it up that way, have one controller, and have your little thumb reticle and aiming. I could see fighter jet things, no problem from that, for sure. I think that's where I'd like to see it go. And the other thing I'd like to see it go to is games, again, things like that, horseshoes, hot dogs, hand grenades, etc., but with more of a, designed as a game as opposed to a tech demo. Even if you're not running around, ones where you can fight guys, block guys, etc. Things like your Space Pirate Simulator, but again, with a little more depth. That's where I see it going. And I wouldn't, it's been a long time since we've really seen a puzzle adventure game. I mean, there's all sorts of crappy $2 ones on Steam, but I mean, like, the old school ones, those of us who grew up with stuff like, Police Quest and stuff like that. I'd love to see something like that in 3D and well done and be like, okay, you have to investigate crime scenes or things like that in virtual reality. Like, how cool would that be? Dusting for fingerprints.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Being a police investigator, like CSI kind of like stuff.
Yeah, stuff like that. Be like, okay, go to the crime scene, pick up the evidence, go back to the lab. Examine this. I could see a really kind of cool mystery adventure game being done that way. And you could still have people shooting each other in it too. But I think that's more, to me, is where I'd like to see VR going. Any thoughts on that one yourself?
I think I'd like to see it go that way. I would like the more... I would like Fallout in VR. Like, I'm excited for it. I haven't really played much of Fallout in not VR. But... I don't know. Give it a go.
Yeah, I haven't tried the newest
I haven't played
Nuka Land yet.
I haven't played Nuka World yet.
Or Nuka World.
I haven't even played Fahaba. But,
Fahaba?
But
I found that game, honestly, I won't get into it too much, but this has been a bit of a disappointment. That is a game where they took an existing game and turned it into a tech demo. they turned it into like this simulator thing, which would have been fine.
I think when we did our thing where we're like, oh man, look, it looks cool, you can build bases. Yeah. You want to know what I hate the most in Fallout 4? Building fucking bases.
Though I
don't want to do it.
I don't want to do it. Though I will say, in VR, if you could actually place the things from an interface that way...
I hope they take that out in the VR version.
Just get rid of the base building, just push a button that says build base here, and it builds a base for you, and then you're done.
Build me some sick base, like, just... I don't know. Like, I don't want to do it.
That's fair.
I just want to... I don't know. I have it on Xbox. I kind of want to just wait for it on PC. Because I just want to cheat in that game. I just want a console command. I really don't feel like leveling up. Like, I just want to be super sick and then just go and do everything.
That's cool. Well, this is honestly the worst one to do it in because it is the least well-written, least story-oriented, least world-built...
Yeah, the only story is Settlement needs your help.
Well, no, there's more to it than that. Yeah. But a lot of the other Fallout games, what made them different was not just that it was a good game system, but the world had depth. You felt like you were a real part of it. And because of the way they did the faction system in this, like the game ends, the only thing that changes is who blows what up, basically. I was not a fan of it, but I think in VR, honestly, I would rather play Fallout 3 in VR than Fallout 4 in VR, because Fallout 3 had a much better storyline, overall world, etc. I would feel like, again, I know that game like the back of my hand. I could basically be like, oh yeah, you need that gun, this is where you go get it.
I'm kind of surprised that that's it for DLC now. Like,
yeah,
there's no more DLC for it.
I think this honestly...
And it hasn't even been a year.
I think honestly this was just a pre-planned development cycle. I think they said, listen, I mean, unless you count Fallout VR as DLC. It's not paid DLC, but it's, they're going to try and drive sales of the game with it, obviously. But I am very surprised at that. I think it was a pre-planned thing. I think if they, I think probably like on release day, Far Harbor was mostly made. And when Far Harbor came out, Nuka World was mostly made. And the other ones were probably tech demos and shit they worked on the side.
Yeah, like the little in-between things where it was just like, adding stupid shit to the stupid base building.
Well, yeah. And what I feel it was a lot like is if, for those who remember Skyrim, I feel a lot of it was like the Hearthfire expansion, where it was a very small add-in. I did enjoy the Machinist because I turned Cogsworth. He's now dual wields one chain gun and one laser chain gun.
That was fun. I did enjoy that. I played that, and I made Ada just like a crazy rocket wielding death machine.
That was a lot of fun.
But that was fun.
So I did enjoy that. But that being said, the little DLCs, again, if I had purchased them individually, I would have been pissed. I bought a season pass because I was fairly overall impressed with the first round of DLCs. So I just bought the season pass to get all of it. That being said, I hope future Fallout games... I'm fine if you want to put that screwing around stuff into it. Like, for example, if you had made base building a DLC and focused more on the main game world and story and stuff, I would have been a lot happier with that. I like the weapon customization. That I did enjoy. However...
The story didn't seem like so dire, though. It was just like, okay, I come out of my sleep.
Yep, spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Like, they took my kid.
Yeah.
All right. I guess I gotta go find my kid.
Well,
so it's like, like that's a big deal for you as a person, but like on the grand scheme of things, who the fuck cares if your son got stolen?
Yeah. Well, and
then it turns out to be like way crazier. Yeah. But
still, compared to the other ones, like most of the other ones, like it felt like the fate of humanity was in your hands. In these ones, it was kind of like, and again, big spoiler alert. Oh, if you fail, they're going to steal some more people and replace them with robots. Like it wasn't like they were going to wipe out humanity and replace them with robots. It wasn't like they were trying to destroy any sect. It's like, oh yeah, this one particular section of the world will have more robots in it if you fail. And in fact, you can pick their side at the end. And oh look, a few more robots show up in town. And like literally that, or synths, sorry, not robots, synths, but they're basically robot people. But anyway,
the thing though in the game is in the game I play as a hardline brotherhood.
Oh yeah.
In real life, I want to be a synth.
Yeah.
Like my ideals in the game are completely like I almost want to remake a new character and be like, okay, I want to be a synth, because in real life I would love to transcend the flesh and become a synth.
That's true. I don't think they actually do that, though. They just kill people and replace them with equivalent robots. But here's the funny thing. Big spoiler alert here. So, big time thing about the game is recovering your kid. you're chasing down this kid who looks like he's your kid. You've been in States for about 10 years or whatever. So there's like a 10-year-old kid.
No, like 200 years.
No. I mean, once they steal your kid.
Right. Yeah,
once they steal your kid. So, because they steal your kid as a baby, and then you find out, he's older than you thought. So you think this kid is your kid. It's not your kid. Your kid is actually a fully grown adult. They touted this I think they kind of dropped it because of how terrible it turned out. They touted this in the original thing, was that your kid was going to look like the offspring of the parents. Because you create both parents even though you only play one. So what happened is that I created two parents. One was like whiter than sour cream. The other one was slightly tanned, like maybe looked like he was from Mexico or South America. So when you find your kid all grown up and he explains to you your kid, for some reason my kid was Indian, and I mean Indian from India, like not black, but very dark skinned, way darker skinned than the darkest parent who would have had a kid with a white parent. So when he told me that he was his son, I said bullshit and shot him in the head. Right? Just gunned him down right there.
Well, see, okay, here's my experience when I went to the Institute.
Yeah.
Door opens.
Yeah.
He didn't even talk to me. I just shot him.
You didn't even wait for him to speak?
Because I was just like, we're fucking doing this. Like, I went into the we invade. I fucking whip out my combat shotgun. I'm like, fucking sweeping the corners. Door opens. Some guy in a lab coat. Boom! Boom! Everything started going crazy. And then, like, I'm, like, blasting Sims. I'm like... So then I, like, told one of my buddies on Xbox I did. He's like, yeah, you probably shouldn't have done that. He's like, why? He's like, he explains to me. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm gonna reload that save.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like I could have stuck with that, and I would have missed out on a lot of stuff.
I did stick with it, and apparently did miss out on a fair bit of stuff. That's okay though. I had no desire to work for the Institute. I was a hardcore Minuteman because there's villages in trouble, and someone's got to take care of them.
I didn't finish the Minuteman tutorial.
But anyway, that's a game. I'm hoping Fallout 5, they say okay. And it's unfortunate because that sort of gimmicky stuff, like the base building and stuff, I would have liked that a lot more if it actually meant something. So it's like, oh, I can have houses at my base. Oh, I can put a shop here. You know what I mean? I would have liked to see better work done on guys invading your base. I would like to see them, okay.
Because they just, come in as, just a mob of bodies.
Yes.
And then just die to your guns.
You literally put turrets at one place. Like, the starting town had, this big river. And I was like, okay, I got to put some turrets by the river.
Defend the bridge and you're good.
I got to set some traps on the bridge. And I was like, okay. And then I had choke points and I had fallbacks. So, okay, if they pass this point, I've now got a wave of turrets and some guard posts further back. And then my main building was, a big tower with turrets on it. Nope. 2 machine gun turrets by the front and a explosive trap, and literally nothing ever past it.
I just use a fat man. They just come in.
And even the missions where you're supposed to invade the castle, I broke the game. Oh, they're invading from multiple sides. All I did was build a wall in front of the 2 other doors to get in, so they all had to funnel through the front.
And since there's no destruction for walls.
Yeah, there's no destruction for walls.
Come through.
So they would mill about this wall where the door used to be, and I'd just huck a grenade down or something. Eventually I put a rocket launcher turret there. I'm like, okay, well that takes care of that. So, yeah. So I think if you're going to do that, fine. But then make it an integral part of the game. Instead, what they did was they focused on the fluff, which was to the detriment of the game. Again, the Hearthfire expansion in Skyrim didn't take anything from Skyrim. It did not take anything from the game. Whereas I feel that the amount of dev cycle time they probably spent on all this stuff took from the game. Unfortunately, sold millions and millions of copies, so they're probably going to go the same way next time. I'm hoping, though, go that way, fine. Put in customization. I did enjoy the weapon customization, but let's have some more time spent on the world, the writing, etc. That's all I'd like.
Now that they have it, though, they shouldn't have spent too much time on it next go around, though.
No, because if you think about 3 to New Vegas, all they really did was almost the exact same everything. They changed the perks and stuff a bit. So if they did the same thing again, where, okay, Fallout 5 or whatever, Fallout New whatever, the equivalent of New Vegas.
Fallout New Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Yeah, New Commonwealth of Massachusetts. If they do that, I think that if they just say, okay, we've already got all these systems in place, now let's just create a really good world to make use of them.
You know what they're probably going to do?
I bet you the next Fallout is just, like, online. It's just Fallout Online. They just do exactly what they did with friggin' Elder Scrolls.
I don't think so, considering that Elder Scrolls Online is the only MMO that's made less than its single-player equivalent in money. I don't think they're
really?
going to
Okay,
there was a Fallout Online that was scrapped a ways back.
Good.
Because Elder Scrolls Online, again, it's not a terrible game. The problem is that it's not a great game, and here's the thing. Skyrim, and honestly most Elder Scrolls games' weakest point is its combat. Right? The worlds are great, the exploration's great, the leveling up is amazing, the storyline's usually cool.
VATS with, like, real people. How does that work?
You couldn't do VATS for real people.
No.
You know, unless everything was instanced and it froze everyone's screen. I could see you using VATS to give you, you know, in real time and give you an assistance in aiming. Yeah. But yeah, I don't see it working. I don't want to see Fallout Online. I would like to see another good Fallout game. And given how much money they make from each Fallout game, I don't think they're going to stop doing it. You know, yeah, so that's it for that. So I think that's probably as good a place as any to wind down. We're about an hour and 20 minutes.
So to wrap it up, No Man's Sky sucks. VR is awesome. And yeah, that's it.
And don't shut down your online games right after putting through a big event that everyone's going to pay real money for. Or your player base will be real pissed. I think that pretty much sums it up. So
that's the TLDR.
TLDR. So I am your co-host, Victor von Fragenstein.
And
Thanks
I'm
for
Gaffer.
listening.
Thank you for listening.
And hopefully we'll catch you guys on a slightly more frequent basis next time.
Yeah.